Welcome to my workshop. In today's video, we're going to be making some really cool jack-o'-lanterns. They are a little bit different as the faces are casted with epoxy resin with an addition of glow-in-the-dark pigment. So join me on today's video. I'm going to show you how to make these, how to cast the resin, and later on in the video, you'll see how they look like when they glow without the need of any tea lights or any source of light. Check out the video. All right, so we know what we are making. Now I'm going to show you how we're going to do it. First of all, you need to get yourself some sort of timber. In my case, I've got a few boards of pine. However, you can actually use plywood for it as well. All depends what you've got in your workshop. For me, I'm going to go for 22 centimeters long. That's for the front and two sides. However, the back will be a little bit shorter to accommodate the tea light, the electric tea light that will go inside. To speed up the process of cutting the pieces out and making sure they're the same sizes, I'm just setting up a stop block. On my table saw, I'm going to rip down the fronts and the backs to 14 centimeters wide. Now the sizes of the bases and the tops depends on your personal preference. For me, the bottom, I actually want to be exactly as the size of the whole box itself. And obviously that will depend on how thick your material is. So for me, the bottom will be 13 by 18. However, for the top, I do want to have a small overlap, about 1 centimeter. So in total, I'm going to add 2 centimeters in both directions. And back again at the table saw, reducing the pieces to the correct and final width. Alright, so these are the faces of our jack-o'-lanterns. I've got some interesting designs that we're going to transfer them over, and basically what you can do, you can stick that on with a bit of tape, double-sided tape, anything you want really. What I tend to use is to use a trace paper. I just found it the best and easiest way to do this. There you go, let's have a look. And we're going to make perfect representation on the piece of timber. Now off to my scroll saw to cut this out. Now if you don't have a scroll saw like I do, you can just use a normal jigsaw or even a really cheap thread saw. So not an issue to cut these out at all. Not too bad at all. Right, let me catch up with the second one and we'll go to the next stage. To add more interesting look and interesting color effect, I'm actually going to be using, as you can see, my burnishing tool to give the depth to the wood itself, and then we'll double dye it for a really cool effect, hopefully anyway. So that's how it looks like as normal. And now, check it out. It looks far more cooler, more depth to the whole project, but it will look even better when we add the colors to it. Right then, the first layer of color we're going to be adding is basically black wood dye. Okay, and I've got, well, Wenger, which is more or less black. After that, we're going to go back to the burnishing tool. However, we're going to swap the brushes to a nylon one and Then we're going to add a nice red color. Initially, I actually wanted to add orange, that would go best. However, I couldn't find orange paint. I only got red. So that's what I'm going to be using. It's a nice reddish, bloody type color. So I think it's going to look pretty cool. So yeah, let's get started and put the wood dye on. And as I have mentioned, now it's time for the second go with the burnishing tool, this time around the nylon brush, just to get rid of some of the wood stain, but not all of it. And now it's time for the red color. Just go slightly on it, don't overload it with the paint. Later on, we'll sand it off a little bit with grit 150, just to have that nice feature between the wood, the black, and the red color as well. Hopefully in the end it will look pretty cool. Then with everything dried out, now it's time for that bit of sanding. Grit 150, just a slight sand to get that nice 3D look on it. And check it out, I think that looks really, really awesome. And a normal board, really interesting look to it. Now I'm just going to carry on with the remaining boards, and we're going to head over to the cherry on top, the resin. Alright, now it's time for the coolest part of the project, i.e. casting our faces of the jack-o'-lanterns with resin. Now the epoxy resin I'm using is from a company called Let's Resin. Absolutely fantastic make, very good quality resins. I fully recommend them. On top of it, on the store over there, you can buy absolutely everything you would need for resin casting, from resin dyes, mica powders like these, and a very interesting powder we're going to be using today. It's the glow in the dark. Absolutely fantastic quality there. And as I said, you can buy on Let's Resin absolutely everything you need for any resin project. So I'm going to leave some links to the products I'm going to be using today, but also to the main website so you can have a look what they've got. However, how we're going to tackle this? First of all, we're going to flip this over, and I'm just going to use some tape. Okay, I'm going to put the tape on top of the faces, covering them as best as I can. And fingers crossed that will prevent the resin from escaping. But on top of it, what I do have as well, I do have this mold with a lip. If the resin escapes, it's not going to make a mess. And there you go, everything's nicely taped up, and hopefully we're not going to have any overspill with that. Now let's get to the resin. It's just normal epoxy resin, part A, part B, and it's 1:1 ratio by volume, so super easy to actually mix it up the right proportions. So I'm going to do 200 milliliters of one and 200 milliliters of the other one. Hopefully that will be enough. And I'm just going to transfer both to one larger pot. Just going to be a lot easier for me to mix it all up. This resin is absolutely fantastic when it comes to self-degassing. It does have about an hour's working window, and then it should be okay to demold within 24 hours. And yeah, been using it for over a year, and I have to say, top quality this resin is. And I do have this fancy stirring machine, so I'm going to use that to make sure my resin, both of the parts, have combined correctly. After I stop mixing, I'm going to leave the resin for about 3 minutes to let it auto-degas itself. Okay, the resin is fully mixed, and what I want to do is to add this glow-in-the-dark powder, the whole lot, into the main pot, into the whole resin, as I want every part to be glowing at night. So, well, let's just whack the whole thing in. And now I need to mix this really, really well. Okay, I'm going to transfer more or less maybe half of what I've got here to a smaller cup. It's just going to be a little bit easier for me to add the base coat. Okay, I'm going to try not to make a mess out of this, so I'm going to be very, very careful when pouring this resin in. So we basically are creating this base layer. Don't fill it up right to the brim. All right, obviously this is self-leveling, so I'm going to give it a few moments for it to set. In the meantime, I'm going to add some colors. This part, I'm going to add some black mica powder. Absolutely gorgeous color. So I'm going to have a green mica powder, maybe in the larger pot, and then I'm going to have two dyes, red and yellow. Look at that. What a fantastic, vibrant green. Absolutely love this one. Right, let's have a look with these amounts. You can always add a little bit more if you haven't achieved the color you wanted. So add a bit, mix it all up, see what you managed to get. I think I'm going to add a little bit more of the red. Yellow is just about right. All right, and let's experiment. I think I'm going to add the black as a bit of a base onto the eyes. It's really down up to you what colors you use, and you can go really absolutely wild with this. And I'm going to add the green to the eyes on the other side. And now, with the additional color, the red right in the middle. And I'm going to add the yellow on the other side. Shift this about just a little bit to create an eye that we want. For the mouth over here, I'm going to go with the green. And some red teeth. And just we can move it about to create the effect we're looking for. However, as the resin sets, it will create its own unique pattern. And hopefully, it will look pretty cool. And again, you can move it around just a little bit. Right, now I'm going to leave everything to set, and we'll see tomorrow how everything turned out. And where it comes to the rest of the resin, well, it's always worth to have some silicone molds ready to be implemented. So I've got these round coasters that are filled up with this resin, and hopefully I'm going to have nice 4 coasters. All right then, and it's the next day, and I have to say they came out absolutely awesome. And as predicted, the trick with the tape worked. We had no overspill, really, really good on both of them. So yeah, if you ever need to do anything like that, use the tape and you'll be absolutely... Tell you what, this actually looks quite good as well, this side. I think next year I'm going to do this color combination and that's it. But yeah, and as I said, extra molds, you can make some really cool coasters as well. Always have them to hand. Additional product that you can make. You know, it costs no extra money, already mix the resin. So it's always worth to have some silicone molds to hand. And again, these can be purchased in Let's Resin online store, as there's so many other silicone molds there. You're definitely going to find something that you're looking for. However, now it's time to put these bad boys together. And I'm just going to be using wood glue and some brad nails. Now, don't put too much glue. You don't want to have a massive squeeze out. Just a bit will do. And if you don't have a nail gun, just use normal nails or even screws. You know, whatever you've got available in your workshop. Now make sure the back piece is the shorter one. So basically from the bottom, you will have the ability to put the tea light in and just carry on around the perimeter, adding the sides and later on the top and the bottom. And now with the top, you more or less want to have an equal overhang around the perimeter. You don't need it at the back. I think I'm just going to make sure it's flush at the back, while I'm going to have a larger one to the front. And there you go, the first one is assembled. At the back, we can put the tea lights in, so no issue at all. Right, I'm going to put the second one in the same manner. And here they are. I think they came out really, really cool. With the resin, you can make some fantastic looking faces, absolutely unique. And best of all, you actually don't need any lights to power them on. If you leave them outside and they will get the sunlight, the glow in the dark powder will do its job. Let's have a look at it. Tell you what, the camera is not capturing how they actually look, but trust me, they are pretty awesome, glowing on their own, just like that. I'm not sure if the camera managed to actually capture this and how cool they look. Absolutely awesome, without any source of light. Super, super cool. But if you do want to have more stable source of light, obviously you can use your standard tea lights. However, I'm actually going to install these LED strip lights, basically the battery operated, and they will switch on during the night, as they do have a sensor to tell it when it's day, when it's night, so I don't have to touch them. I can leave this outside and it will automatically turn itself on. So quite cool. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to install the strips and then we'll have a look how they look like with the strips installed. Hopefully the camera will be able to catch a stronger source of light. And check that out. Hopefully my camera is able to catch this. They look absolutely stunning, guys. Fantastic result. Definitely very unique with the colors, and yeah, the end result is absolutely great. And they have it. Definitely very unique. Not even the resin, but also the wood itself, the effect we managed to achieve with the color and with the burnishing tool. Obviously, you know, your imagination is key here to add whatever colors you want to suit your particular design. But as you see, the resin actually works. One suggestion from me, probably the light is not as strong as I would like it to be, more or less because of how much resin I've put. Now, these boards are about 2 centimeters thick, and unnecessarily I've put that much resin. Probably 1 centimeter of resin would give you far better results and better light penetration, and you would be probably able to see it better. But that's just a tip from me going forward. If you wanted to do something like that, don't waste the resin. 1 centimeter will absolutely do. Don't go the full thickness of the board. Now, I just want to thank my patrons for supporting my channel. And if you want to become a patron of my channel, there's some links down below in the description of this video. And also, if you are interested in the resin, I do have a link to the Let's Resin store down below, and you can have a look what they've got, and maybe you're going to come up with your own unique project there. However, before you go, just check out these 2 playlists here. Plenty of cool videos over there. Have a look and maybe you'll find your next video to watch. For today, that's all. Thank you very much. Take care.